Hey, Booktuber, welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I'm Jackie, and yes, I know it's only been like 24 or 48 hours. I think 48 hours is when it's been 2 days since the last one. But I just watched a couple of reading vlogs, and unfortunately, like I've said in the past, I don't know how to make reading vlogs, but I imagine this is what I would do anyway if I did make a vlog. There just wouldn't be any like hours in between. I mean, there would be, but you wouldn't know that you wouldn't see the difference. So so in a way, this is no different than if I was doing a vlog, a real vlog. But I feel like today was a little more productive. Like yesterday, I was being kind of lazy. Like I think, and that's what happens when I start my day off with I end up turning on the TV and watching YouTube videos first. If I don't discipline myself to do something like a chore or reading first, then I get lazy and end up spending the whole day watching videos and watching TV. But I've gotten back into Defunctland videos, which is basically the history and the secrets of theme parks and stuff, like, and why, and now, and which is, it's a really cool, YouTube channel where they will, and there's another one I watched, it's not Defunctland, but there's another one where basically it's the history of a lot of theme parks, and like I was watching one on the whole history of Jim Henson and the Muppets and the Muppet Show, and then there's like the top 5 most dangerous theme parks, or like I can't think of any of the other videos, but they're really interesting. And then I like to watch the whole dark secrets of Disney videos, where all the secrets that Disney doesn't want you to know, like how people have, died on rides, or like even cast members have died, or like there's secret underground tunnels for cast members, so you won't see like Mickey walking around Tomorrowland, or like how they're very strict with these very strict rules if you're gonna work as a cast member at the Disney parks, like guys can't have facial hair. You have to stay in character the whole time, which that one definitely makes sense. And a really gross one is you can't wear your own underwear because it might bunch up and the people might see it through the costumes, which, yeah, it is kind of practical, but it's still really gross because you have to wear their underwear, and they say, oh, we wash it, but then you never know. But recently, like in the early 2000s, I think they finally, were like, okay, fine, how about you can take it home and clean it yourself, so you know that it'll be washed. But they're very interesting videos, and I don't let it ruin the appeal of the parks, because I still love going to the parks. I still love watching the Disney movies, even the live action ones, because I know a lot of people don't like them because they're not original, and Lindsay Ellis, in fact, has done a couple of videos on some of the live action Disney movies, and which I will not watch because I know I can be very sensitive. And even though I don't ever say anything to people, I'm not dumb. I'm not gonna go comment and start trouble and be like an internet troll or something about it. But I know that I can get all like, what's wrong with that, or even, and I'll get immature and stuff about it, but then, after all, I'll think about it, and I understand deep down that everyone has their opinions, and some of the arguments make sense on why they feel that way. But but anyway, those are fun to watch, especially, like, the ones that talk about, like, Disney's dark secrets that they don't want you to know, or, like, the history of what happened to a park and why it fell apart and stuff like that. Like, there's one video where talking about how Disney tried to make their own version of Chuck E. Cheese and how it failed, and then how Chuck E. Cheese proved that those kinds of theme restaurants can work. But then eventually, if you guys know about Chuck E. Cheese, you know that eventually died out towards the end of the 90s. I think it still kind of existed in the early 2000s. But it eventually, I don't think it exists anymore. I mean, although I don't know if Waldorf, where I used to live, has their old Chuck E. Cheese. Although I imagine probably the old restaurant was taken over by a different. I remember though those animatronics, and the same thing with the people at the Disney animatronics or the costume characters, the ones in the like the giant animals and stuff like that. They still kind of creep me out a little bit. Like walking around, I was, my sister and I had those autograph books where you could get autographs from the characters, and I was so nervous. I never wanted to go up to them. My sister always had to be the one to go up to them and ask them, and I was like hesitant to even take a picture of them. I didn't even like going up to Santa Claus because I don't know. I was just I was very creeped out and very uncomfortable with that. And the animatronics are even freakier because and I still kind of get the EBGBs when I watch, like if I watch those videos and they show the animatronics and stuff like that. And I refuse to go on the Small World ride because that is, to me, that's just creepy. And that song is also incredibly annoying. And I don't think I'm the only one who's creeped out by the Small World ride. But anyway, so other than that, of course, I've been doing some reading, as you saw in my thumbnail. But I finally started reading The Library Policeman again in this collection for Past Midnight. There are four stories. It includes the secret. Okay, now I'm gonna look at it for once so I can get it right this time because I never get this title right. I feel like Secret Window, Secret Garden. That's the short story that or novella. I think these are more like novellas. That Secret Window is based on the movie starring Johnny Depp. Which is I really like that horror movie. I always liked the idea of the dual personality kind of story. Which I probably should not have said that, but I'm assuming that. And then I've read The Longlers, which also had a movie. Back in the 80s, it was the same girl who played Mary Lennox in the 1990s version of Secret Garden, starring with Maggie Smith was Miss Medlock, and I don't know if there's anyone else, any other known actors. I mean, there's a couple of 90s. I think the kid who played Dickon. I think he had done a couple other movies back in the 90s, but yeah, the girl who played Mary is in the movie version of The Longlers. And it's basically about these people who are on a plane and they end up getting sucked into another dimension where they are being chased by these monsters called the Longlers. And they have to get to the other side of the airport or something. And it's really, the actress, let's just call her Mary, plays the blind girl in this. And there's a couple other people, like there's the pilot, and then there's the guy who's very much like the squeaky wheel of the group. He kind of reminded me of, he kind of makes me think of Emery Waterman on Rose Red, which I think like Stephen King's really good at writing those kinds of characters. He's just really good at character work, I feel like. And that one, and I don't know why, but the Longlers, and maybe it's because that's how they were in the movie, but they remind me of Fuzzy Pac-Man. You know, the monster that's just a ball and it has it's a mouth. For some reason, I'm thinking that's what they look like. Maybe that's what they look like in the movie. And then so the one I'm reading right now is The Library Policeman, which that one makes me think of a cross between two Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes, actually. A cross between the Phone Police and Silence in the Library, I think it's called. The Tale of Silence in the Library. Which those are they're one of them is definitely better than the other, but in the Phone Police, it's these two boys who are they like to do prank calls, and the older sister of one of the boys tells them about the phone police, but they're all like brushing off and everything, and one of them ends up getting captured by the phone police, and it's to the point when he becomes imprisoned, and he's his friend realizes that everybody, it's like he's no longer exists. Everybody forgets him, so it's up to him to help him escape because no one else will. And it's kind of cheesy. It's kind of not one of my favorites. It's actually kind of stupid in my opinion, anyway. And then the other one, the Tale of Silence in the Library. I think that's what it's called. In that one, there's these two kids. I think they're supposed to be like middle school or freshmen in high school or something, and they are assigned to work together on a project. And the girl is a bit of an overachiever, probably like A-type personality, very academic, and then the guy is kind of one of those slacker kids. Very like, he doesn't care, and he keeps telling the girl, you need to lighten up a little bit. And although I still firmly believe that if their friends hadn't said anything to them and reminded them how annoying the person that they're paired up with is, then maybe they would have actually gotten to like each other from the start. Because we tend to listen to our friends. I mean, when our friends say something's bad or say something's annoying, then not always, but I think we're easily influenced by our friends. Like, if we're told that something's bad or gross or something, or someone's annoying, then we'll automatically agree with their opinion. And so I think if their friends hadn't said anything to them, then maybe they would have taken the time to get to know each other. So they end up, they end up having to go back to the library late at night when it's closed because the girl has left her notebook in there. But then the weird thing is, when they get there, they break in, and then everything is all old-fashioned and different. And they discover there is this librarian that's like this old woman who looks like a Puritan, and she has this little box that she will capture your voice or your voices or the sounds you make, and will keep you trapped in this little room full of ghosts and there with all these other kids and ghosts and stuff like that. It's kind of creepy. I definitely like that one better than the phone police. I always skip the phone police one. But it kind of reminds me of that because this guy, he is supposed to give this guy named Sam, he's supposed to give this speech, and he's really nervous about it, so he goes to the library to borrow some books to help him come up with a good speech. Although I don't know why you would need to get books because I'm not saying that it's easy, because I get anxiety about getting up in front of people and talking in front of people, but I kind of learned when I did my maid of honor speech that my dad was like, just wing it, and apparently it turned out to be really good. Everyone really liked it. I think I'm not saying don't do anything, don't not practice, but I don't think you need to get you don't need to get books to come up with a speech. But I guess I don't know. So he goes to the library, and there's this woman, this woman named Ardelia, who works there, and she's, very, one of those people that pretends to be nice, but really she's very strict and mean. And, she gives the impression that she does not like our main character, Sam, and she doesn't like his whole questioning of, the posters that come off as a little creepy and very strict and stuff like that. So he comes back, and he is told that if you are late with your library books, then the library policemen are gonna get you. So he ends up being a day late with his library books, and he gets a call from the librarian, Ardelia Lortz, and says, "You're late. I'm very disappointed with you. The library policemen are gonna get you." But when he gets to the library, thinking, "Oh, I'll just have her reimburse me and buy new copies of the books," because then it turns out he lost the books, and he gets there and everything's different. It looks, it looks friendlier, at least more normal, but it's different from when he went there the other day. So he's at the point where he's trying to figure out what's up, what's going on, am I crazy or something? And his ex-girlfriend, who he's sort of friends with, he suspects she knows something, and so he's gonna ask her. But of course, her mother's is very I don't want anything to do with you, and off-putting and with him, and just is not very helpful. And then when he brings up the name, she gets all mad and is like, "How dare you? Why can't you people leave us alone?" So obviously something happened with that woman, with Cordelia Lord. Like, she's obviously was a real person. And my suspicion is it's going to turn out she's going to be a ghost. That's why I think it's kind of similar to Silence in the Library. Which I wish I knew if that was the correct title. I mean, it sounds correct. But anyway, it definitely is more like that one, that Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. But the whole library policeman makes me think of the phone police. Which that now that episode though, I imagine for a kid that episode might be a little creepier, but as an adult, the library one is a lot creepier to me. So, and then there's the Sundog. I don't know what's going on in that one, but I'm guessing that maybe it's gonna be similar to Cujo, the Sundog, but or maybe one of his werewolf novels or something. Oh, speaking of Stephen King, see, I would love to claim King as one of my auto buy authors or auto read authors, but I ended up removing another book of his from my shelf, and that is The Eyes of the Dragon. I did have to look up on Goodreads to see for sure if I wanted to or not, and like I know some people probably be like, you should read it first before you determine that. And it's like, and I know, like, for instance, Terry will probably tell me to read it first. You should read it before you decide. But no, you know what? There's too much pressure on me. And it's been so long since I, even dipped my toes in that book. Because I did start it a while back. Like a couple years ago. But I never got back into it. So it's like, it's the people on Goodreads give really, sometimes, long-winded reviews about books. So, I think that's good enough for me. And especially if it's a book that I'm not entirely certain. Yes, I really love Stephen King, but not all of his books are my kind of books. And sometimes I feel like you can tell once you start reading a book. I mean, that's why so many people DNF books. Because I feel like you can tell right away. I mean, there is a point where you can tell, even if you haven't finished the book. Like, maybe back in the day, I would have said, you should finish the book. And I still sometimes feel like you should at least give a book a chance. But now, I feel like you can give a book a chance without finishing the book. If you read a good amount of the book and you feel like, oh, okay, this isn't for me. Now, it had been a long time since I've read Eyes of the Dragon, but from, like I said, I feel like it's only fair that, it's not everybody would agree with me on that, but it's kind of stressed me out, and I'm going to feel obligated to read the book. And maybe there was a chance I would have liked it and enjoyed it. There is a possibility of that. But if I didn't like it, then, I'll feel like, even though it's not the end of the world, and it's not the worst thing in the world, I feel like I will still feel a little bit like I wasted my time, when I have so many other books that I'm more interested in. Like, not just these, there's a shelf full of books over there. And plus, I'm not going to stop buying books, and I need to make room. I always need to make a room for more books, because I'm not going to just stop buying books. I don't like, in my library, yes, I know people say, oh, you can borrow books from the library, or Libby app, or whatever. But you know what, my library does not have the biggest selection. It's only one story. It's a very small library. And this is a community, and I've said this a million times before, this is a retirement community. I mean, there are some up-and-coming families. I mean, I live across from an elementary school, which is actually being worked on as we speak. But it doesn't, this community, our library, our community does not necessarily have a lot of people that like the stuff I like, that I love reading. I mean, I had to get, Sean McGuire's The Wayward Children series off the Libby app because it didn't have it in the physical library. I've never seen a Sarah J. Maas book at that library. Back when I was reading Sarah J. Maas. So if I wasn't 100% sure at the time of reading Sarah J. Maas, I had to buy it anyway because it wasn't there. And then Gibbons in the Roast Office bookshop, it takes donations only. So it's even when I say worse, I don't mean it's a bad bookshop. It's just, as in the selection is not ideal. It's not the greatest selection ever. It just, like, I feel like the library in Waldorf was so much better as far as selection goes. I mean, like, I will never find a Brandon Sanderson. I mean, I've gotten at least maybe one Brandon Sanderson book, and I've seen, like, and I've seen a couple of the Wheel of Time books there, but they were the later books in the series. That's the other problem with series. Sometimes you don't necessarily get the first book in the series, like that one series, the one trilogy that I showed it on one of my videos where I got the second and third book of a trilogy, the Jonathan Stroud, the one about the kid, and he I think it's a djinn he has. They didn't even have the first book there. So it's like it's hard because as far as finding a good selection. Now the one that I have to drive, the used bookstore that I have to drive to, looks like it's gonna be better. It might be better because it's in the middle of the town, farther in town, not in Pinehurst area, but farther in the next town over. So it might have a better selection, more variety, because it has a bigger possibility of more people, different types of people donating books. So that's my excuse for why I buy a lot instead of just borrowing the books or getting used copies, because my selection isn't that great. And, and I mean, I can, so either way, either I buy them online or I go to the Books A Million and buy them. And even then, my Books A Million is, again, small. So it doesn't always have the best selection. I mean, it will have, like, the new books, but it might not have the older books. At least all the time. I mean, sometimes it gets to the point where I feel like I have to it's just like the old roast office where you have to get it when you can. Because sometimes it might not be there. Like, I got, I still have not found the Matt Liveship Traders, the other books in that trilogy at my BAM, because it's so small. Although the BAM that I went to when I went to see my grandma, not this most recent visit, the visit before that, when we went, they didn't have the, I looked then and I did not have it. Although I feel really bad because when I went, one of the times I went to my BAM to look for the books in the Liveship Traders, I spoke a little too loudly. And there were people standing there looking at the shelf, and I was trying to look and be discreet about it without saying, "Can you please move?" Because I felt like that would be rude. I mean, I wouldn't say in a rude way, but they were clearly looking for something, and then I exclaimed out loud. And afterwards I was thinking, and she was like, "Oh, sorry." And ever since then, I've always worried that, did that woman say I was, I wanted her to move, so I was like, God damn it, to her? Because that's not why. That is not why I said that. I was just kind of annoyed that once again the selection, although then that would mean it would seem like I was saying that to the woman that I'm, one of the saleswomen that I've kind of made friends with, because I've gotten to know, I think a lot of them will probably recognize me just like they recognize me at the roast office, which by the way is also closed. I was gonna go there. My dad was like, "Well, if you leave the house, just let me know. Or just be careful because, the whole virus and everything is going on." But then, I was thinking, I bet that's close too. So I ended up going to look it up just in case. And yeah, there is a message in the library section. And it says both the library and the bookstore are closed. So at least until the end of the month, like the 30th. So April, it should be back open again unless things get worse, which hopefully it does not, because I'm worried that if it does get worse, then it's gonna affect us going to the con as well by going to GalaxyCon at the end of April. I mean, at the end of July. That's when it's July, the weekend of the 30th. Which is gonna suck because it's like, and it's not exactly, and it will not be fun for Terry if she comes here and we can't go to it. Because unless she decides to refund her tickets, and I don't know, I'm assuming she can. I mean, actually, now I think about it, she probably will. virus gets worse, then yeah, she probably will, because who wants to be on the plane when that's going on? So now I think I probably wouldn't have to worry about it, because she would probably cancel her whole trip. So I also I'm almost done with the Night Circus. I've read a good chunk of it. As you can see it. This is how much I have left. It's just it's so fun to be back in this world and to read it all again. And I mean, I almost wish I had the urge to read it back in the autumn, back in October or something, because I think, or at least in the winter time, which it technically is still winter, because it's only the 18th, so a few more days left until it's officially spring. But it's just such a beautiful story, and there's so much that I forgot, because like people don't talk about this detailedly unless you were going to go into like a discussion about the book. So there's so many details that I forgot. The Murray twins, Bailey, and I got me thinking when people brought the book up. I was recalling that, oh, it's a little insta-lovey, but then I'm reading it, it's not that insta-lovey. I mean, it's like the two characters, Marco and Celia, are spending time together now, and they're getting to know each other and talking to each other right now, and they have figured out that they are each other's opponents. I mean, you guys know, Marco already figured out that earlier in the book, but now Celia's finally figured out, and they're actually interacting. They're kind of flirting with each other a little bit. But I think at least Celia is a little hesitant, because, she knows that he's her opponent. Her dad probably wouldn't approve of them flirting, and I keep forgetting that these are supposed to be scenes at night. So I still am picturing it during the daytime, or at least in the evening. Because I've gone to my fair share of fairs. In my old community, hometown, the county where I used to live, they had a fair we used to go to all the time. But I mean, as I got older, my parents started to lose interest and stopped taking us. But I wish we had still gone, because I missed that. I missed that whole experience. The outdoor scents and smells, and the stuffed ham was so good. The crab soup, because in Maryland we're known for blue crabs. And there was all these concerts, and my sister and her friends used to be part of that kind of stuff, because her friends were she and all of her friends were kind of musically inclined, so they were all part of that. And I was, and then we had the petting zoo. With my friends at the time, we would go on the rides and stuff. I used to love those ones that spin you around. I love that. I don't know why. Considering that I used to have anxiety about roller coasters, I always had a thing, I guess because they aren't high up, but I love those spinny rides. I was probably one of the few, amongst my friends, I was probably the only one who was just in love with those rides. Although my friends would do it. They never complained, as far as I know, as far as I remember. But I used to love those spinny rides. That sensation of spinning faster and faster, which then, of course, funnily, and of course, as a kid, when we used to have our old basement, I used to love spinning while playing music in our basement, because we had hardwood floors that were all slippy and slidey, so I love to spin around in circles because it was weird like that. Like, I love that sensation for some reason. Which is funny. Like, what's funny is I used to have anxiety about roller coasters. I still don't like the ones that just drop you straight down. Like, I will never go on the Tower of Terror. I will never go on that one. Because I do not like that, I don't like the drops. And I like the spinny sensation, but I do not like the drop sensation. Like your stomach feeling like it's going up into your lungs or whatever. That sensation freaks me out a little bit. Although, which is probably, I should not be watching those defunct land videos about histories of theme parks and the top 5 dangerous theme parks, because then it will give me anxiety about roller coasters again. I mean, although I think because it's not like I'm going to any theme park anytime soon, so I'll probably be fine. But anyway, like I said, it kind of I keep thinking about, because of that, I keep thinking these scenes are in the daytime, but actually they're at night. They're supposed to be at night. So I almost wish there was an on-screen adaptation of this so I could actually picture the nighttime scenes. I just love the story, and like I said, it feels very fairy tale-esque to it. Like, you know how there's some books that just have a fairy tale feel to them. Like, not necessarily like they're written like fairy tales and the content is more mature or the writing style is more mature, but it still has that same kind of feel that you get, that quirkiness and that eccentricities and that whimsy of fairy tales. That's what this feels like. And as this quote says, magical, enchanting, spellbinding, mesmerizing. And then just the descriptions of everything are so beautiful, and I love fair and carnival food, that fried dough and that fried food and stuff like that. I love the smells of all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm a huge fan of funnel cake, which I have not had in a long time. It's such a beautiful story and so much fun to read. I know there are a few people that don't love it, but I know most people on BookTube love this. But I wanted to get this read first before I jumped into the Starless Sea, and I probably should read the 13th Tale first before I continue with. I mean, I don't have to, but sometimes I feel like I want to read their previous work before I get into the new stuff. Now with Erin Morgenstern, I'm even more determined because she only has 2 books so far. I'm wondering if she's gonna write another one. I mean, sometimes authors only write like 1 or 2 books in their lifetime, so I'm curious to see if she's gonna write another book and what she's gonna write about, because the Night Circus or the Starless Sea, there's no connection as far as I know between their very different stories. This is like, and now what's nice about this, I think a lot of people appreciate, is it's not part of a series. She's not continuing, as far as we know, she's not writing any more in this world. I think I wouldn't mind some short stories, though, if she wrote some short stories or novellas about the characters. I think that would be interesting, like Tushiko? Susiko? I don't know. I'm not going to pronounce the foreign pronunciations of, like, foreign names and stuff, unless I already know. Like, European names I can sort of do, but Asian names, unless I actually hear it. But anyway, that character, she's the contortionist in the group. I would love a story about her, or like the Murray twins, for instance, or maybe the Murray twins and Bailey. Which I don't remember what happens to Bailey by the end. I know that he ends up kind of being connected to Marco and Celia in there. That's why his story is in here. He's not just some random person who's become that's a fan of the circus. He actually, I think he's connected, or he helps them in their present situation. Of course, I don't remember what that is. And it's probably good, because then I can't accidentally spoil it for you, like I just did with Secret Garden, Secret Window. Of course, I'm hoping that most people have seen that movie. But anyway, like I said, I would love there to be an adaptation on this, whether it's like a series, a mini series, or a movie. I think it still would be a good movie if it became just a movie. I think it would still be great and capture the story. I know that sometimes with fantasy, that doesn't always, like, people feel like it would be better if a fantasy was a series or a mini-series, because then you get the whole story. But I think this is a good enough length that you could still get the whole story. Maybe not every single thing, but you could still get the whole story. because I mean this is just standalone. And it's not like a big chunkster of a book. It's not like a Stephen King novel length. And then I'm also reading. I finally started reading my second F. Scott Fitzgerald read. Tender is the Night. And I thought this would be good for the Pop Sugar Challenge of read a book that's set in the 20s. But this is actually not in the 20s. This is one of his books that's set in the 30s. And I'm still trying to figure out what exactly. Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. It is in the 20s because it was just published in the 30s. Okay, never mind. So it is in the 20s, so it works. But it's about this. It's about this woman, Rosemary. I think she's a female filmmaker, and she and her mom are visiting the French Riviera, and she kind of gets involved with this couple, the divers, and they are that couple that everyone adores and is intrigued by, and sometimes and it makes me think of Rules of Civility a little bit, where we have a main protagonist who kind of gets involved with this couple and is part of their lives. But so far, it's very interesting. It's definitely a book that I feel like I need to pay attention. Like, I can't be sidetracked. Not that it's that complicated. I mean, Fitzgerald's writing is not that hard to read. It's not like, I feel like there's, like, a book like this, it's just, like, with fantasy, it's easy. I mean, well, not necessarily, but there are certain books that, like, it's easy for me to just read them and then have background noise to distract me. Like, some of these books, no matter what, I still can take them in and not be confused. Like, I could probably read a Harry Potter book and have, like, something like the radio playing. I mean, unless it's Dr. Laura, then Dr. Laura, I get so angry with her that she distracts me. It's like, I get, and I've said this before, that my mom loves Dr. Laura, especially when we go on road trips, and my dad likes her too, not because he likes her, but because he just is so entertained and amused by her and how mean she can be. And, sometimes she does give good advice, and, you can kind of understand, okay, some people need some tough love, but she's so mean and rude about it. She doesn't care about anyone's feelings. But I think that's why she's so successful, because she's entertaining to listen to. For most people, anyway. So it's like, so I listen to her and I just can't, I get so angry and annoyed by her that and I'm grinding my teeth as my mom and dad listen to her. So she distracts me with that. So a book like this I cannot read while Dr. Laura's on in the background. And it doesn't help if I, went to bed late and I'm tired. But it's still very interesting. I love reading Fitzgerald's writing. It's, and I'm one of those people, I know not everybody, but sometimes I like reading about rich, snobby people who are so arrogant. And just, they're so fascinating to read about. And, you're just so amusing to read about, too. Like, just see how they are. And look at their sad, pathetic lives and be like, it's like, on the one hand, you're rich and wealthy, and a lot of important, lower people that aren't as rich as you are jealous and bitter and be like, oh, your life is so wonderful and perfect. In fact, I'm trying to think of what was the video about? I think it's about Mean Girls and stuff. Not Mean Girls the movie, but just Mean Girls in general. And the rich versus, the rich girl versus and there was this whole discussion in the comment section about how, are you better off being rich, or are you better off being poor and happy? Like, would you rather be rich and quote unquote miserable, or would you rather be poor and happy? But, and I kind of agreed that, yeah, I mean, we want, it's kind of nice when you have things, material items. You know, it's kind of nice when you have the money to pay for stuff and to have all the necessities, and you could have all the nice things like TV and cable and the internet, and you can buy a whole bunch of books. And like, granted, with books, it's an easy solution. You just go to the library a lot, but in clothes and stuff, you can't blame people for wanting material things. We are a material species. We like nice things. In an ideal world, we would be fine, but in an ideal world, maybe we wouldn't want this kind of stuff. We would be perfectly fine without this. But so I kind of agree with that person's statement that, at least if you have the money and you're well off, then you can have nice things. And we can't lie to ourselves and say it's not appealing and we don't like having material things like computers and TV and stuff like that. But then I can see the other person's point of view that, just because you have a lot does not mean your life is great. I mean, yeah, you have the money, but you could still be alone and still be lonely. Like, I'm in a lot of shows I've seen that kind of, especially about teenagers, I've seen that kind of played out, the idea of the one that started out as being like ignored and bullied and stuff, and then she wants revenge on the popular, beautiful girl who has all her friends and stuff. And the example I'm particularly thinking about is Buffy, where you have Cordelia Chase, who's popular, everyone loves her, everyone worships her, everyone wants to be her, and she's always winning all the school competitions, she's a cheerleader. And you have the main character. One of the main supernatural characters in the episode is, the main problem is she's this girl who everyone ignored her. She was just invisible. She was and she becomes literally invisible, and she starts terrorizing Cordy's friends and ruining her life and stuff, and she wants to get Cordy back, and Buffy is trying to help her. But then she realizes the girl's a psycho. She basically kidnaps Cordy and Buffy and is going to deform and go all Frankenstein on Cordy. And Cordy tries to tell her, look, I get it. I understand. I've been alone too. Just because I'm surrounded by friends and I'm, popular does not mean I don't know loneliness. And of course, she's so bitter. The other girl is so bitter and angry. She's outplays. She doesn't believe Cordy. And that's when it made me kind of pissed off. Because it's okay, yeah, she is surrounded by friends and everyone wants to be her. But that does not mean she's happy. Because these people aren't her real friends. They don't know her. She puts on a performance for them. She puts on a show. She tries to be something to make everybody happy. But some people, their lives are so miserable that they're thinking, I would rather everyone love me and have to put on this performance than be alone and feel ignored and not have friends. But are those people really your friends? The only one that I think was Cordy's genuine friend, which is ironic. But I really do believe, what's her name? Harmony was really genuinely become Cordy's friend. Of course, if you watch Angel, that friendship kind of falls apart temporarily. But then Harmony comes back and really wants to, I think she really wants to be Cordy's friend. But I think they really, once they got past, I think as Harmony and Cordy progressed and grew as characters, I think they would have really been genuine friends. I think she's the only one who would have been Cordy's real friend other than Angel and the gang. But but long story short, I like reading about those kinds of people because they're so fascinating and so interesting to read about. And that's kind of what F. Scott Fitzgerald writes about, because those were the people he was surrounded by, because he was this successful writer, this successful author. And then finally I started my first nonfiction book. Second nonfiction book of the year. Something Wonderful by Todd S. Purdom. This is, if you're a theater nut, then you know all about Rodgers and Hammerstein's. The guys who wrote Cinderella, Pipe Dream, Sound of Music, Oklahoma, I just read some chapters that listed all their, one of them wrote, I think it was Oscar Hammerstein was the one who wrote Showboat. Um, but they so many great musicals. If you know, well and very well received famous musicals. But and this is their bio. It's basically a biography about them, and actually a lot on the back. There's a lot of blurbs from, like, there's a blurb from Carly Simon. There's a blurb from Alec Baldwin on this. And it starts out, of course, like there's a prologue, kind of getting a basic summary of their history, their careers, and then chapter one is basically all about their youth, like how they started, how both of them did not have families that really accepted their careers, what they wanted to be, and how they had both very different creative processes. And Oscar Hammerstein had a lot of people he worked with, different, before he finally teamed up with Richard Rodgers. And it's interesting. The first chapter kind of implies that they've always kind of circled each other, like they've been connected, they've been linked in certain ways, like they know someone who knew that one of them. So they both married they both have wives named Dorothy, for one, and it's very interesting. And like I said, I love reading books about creative types from historically back in the day. And it mentions how I think it was Oklahoma, was at the time, just like how Hamilton now has been like a game changer in the industry. Oklahoma was also a game changer during its time. And I also think it's really cool because that Julie Andrews was Cinderella in their version of Cinderella. She played their Cinderella, and then decades later she plays Maria von Trapp in their musical of their Sound of Music. So it's kind of the movie version. And so I thought that was kind of cool. She was still was part of one of their musicals. And I actually remember that in Home, A Memoir of My Early Years by Julie Andrews, she talks about her experience on Cinderella, I remember, and how hard it was. And I think she was doing two things, and she was doing that one along with another, I don't know if it was another one of Richard Oscar Hammer Rogers, it's such a tongue twister to say there, Rogers and Hammerstein's. I don't know if she was doing another project for them or working on something. Oh, Carousel, South Pacific, The King and I, those were all theirs as well. And so there's only 11 chapters. But it says, like I said, if you're a theater person, then I think you probably really like this. Like I said, we're only in the first chapter, but I mean, it's, but I figure, So, and of course, it's one of those books that the chapters are really long, so I'm probably going to be reading this really slow, but it'll be nice to have another nonfiction on my list of books that I've read. So I have not touched any of my other books. I was going to read Carnival for the Dead last night, but then I decided, I need to read one of the books I already started that I'm already progressed pretty far in, because Carnival of the Dead I'm not that far in, and I know the chapters are kind of long, And I always like to read books with shorter chapters, or at least there's a page break, or like a section to stop at. Because I don't like to just stop in the middle of the page. Or just stop at the, unless I'm so tired that I just can't barely keep my eyes open. I want to stop where there's like a page break or a chapter break or something, that when I'm reading at night, because I know eventually I have to stop. I mean I don't have to, but I need my sleep, so I need my good 8 hours, even though I probably do not sleep 8 hours. So I'm gonna make sure I read a lot more. I need to read a little bit more today before I start getting lost on more booktube videos and probably some Defunctland videos, and watch a few more episodes of Angel at the same time. Before I do that, and I want to get all of that done. And because my little vacation is over, and I'm back to work, which hopefully will stay that way, because I don't want to not go back to work. Because as much as I feel guilty when I'm not going to work, even if I'm not scheduled. I'm wondering, should I have volunteered? But then, like I said, my mom thought there's the risk that I might have come in contact with the virus. So my mom was like, well, just stay home and don't call in, and just wait until the day you're actually scheduled to go back. And so I'm going back tomorrow, and then I'm working on Friday, and I don't know what the rest of them. I'll have to print out the next few days. And then probably take a pic, and I gotta remember to take a picture tomorrow of the new schedule. But I'm wondering, though, I'm like I said, I need to go back to work so I can make more money again. But especially because the convention coming up at the end of the month, hopefully coming up, unless this whole virus thing gets worse. But I'm keep wondering how long my store is gonna last before they have to before they run out of stuff or have to close because they're all worried. I keep worrying, what if tomorrow, I'm either worrying what if I get sick, or what if I legitimately end up getting sick, or what if, because I feel actually fine. I don't feel sick. I've sneezed a couple times, but it's not like a sick, not sneeze like, oh, I'm congested or something, more like just, sometimes you just sneeze because of dust or something, or allergies. But, it's a grocery store, so people are gonna panic and start buying up toilet paper or something like that. I'm a little, I keep wondering, is that gonna happen? Or are we gonna run out? And I don't, like I said, I want to go back so I can go back and work and make more money. So, but I don't know what's gonna happen. So far we haven't had any cases here. I don't know what's gonna happen. But so far I'm going back to work tomorrow, and then I'm working on Friday. And I don't know if I'm working Saturday, but I'm wondering if we're gonna, because I know in the Virginia location they're cutting back the hours. But I don't know if that applies to all the stores. And although I did hear a while back that they were doing that. I thought I had heard that they were doing that a while back for a different reason. So, who knows? So that's what's going on with me. That's what's been going on with me in the past couple days. Or 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever. I don't remember when I last filmed. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. But if you guys like this video, like my chatty update, please give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below to see when I get notifications when I post more videos. And if maybe you can share what you're going to be doing if you are on quarantine right now. Feel free to share what you're reading, or just what you're doing to keep yourself entertained because you can't leave your house. And I will talk to you guys later. Alright.